You're gonna moan, groan, and lament and jump up and down on the spot like a kangaroo. Act the fool, only for him to literally side schmuck you next time he sees you on some. So are you done huffing and puffing and blowing the house down like a big bad wolf? And now how about we just move on from where it is that we last left off? He's going to very arrogantly look at you on some, you tried to escalate me and nothing came. So if you want to keep your own cool and your own peace, this man that thinks that he's MC Hammer and he's too legit to quit and can't nobody touch him, let him go. Because if you don't, you're gonna be the one with pie on your face. Okay. I moved over to my Android device to record from. As you can see, the quality has transformed slightly. It's changed. The iPhone I shared, the battery died at like record speeds, even though I was charging it while recording. It didn't matter. Like the battery was just dying on me. So we're gonna finish this on the iPhone. Sorry, not on the iPhone, but on the other Android. I tested the other Android yesterday and I didn't like the delay that came from it, but it is what it is. It's more reliable. It'll stay alive for longer. I'm sorry. Yeah, so you see, that's why, like, yeah, like this is what issue that, like, yeah, these are the issues. I get what I get saying. Anyway, whatever. Let me just leave it like that. What gives the color quality is just going to be staved, but it's alright. Because I have got a message that I need to get out and I started it and we are not going to stop in the middle like proper because we are busy man. Anyway, yeah, that's what's good. Yes, like I said, where was I? See, I lost my train of thought, and I'm just gonna keep losing my train of thought because of just the lighting. But if I'm like, don't move too much, my lighting should be maintained. But unfortunately for me, sorry about that. Unfortunately for me, I struggle to not move and gesture. But yeah, we'll keep it basic. But at least the one on the animation stays the same. This one is just, it's temperamental, but whatever. Yeah, guy. How in the world could I make you guy? You see, I lost my train of thought, and I have to remind myself of that train of thought. But basically, even going into the last clip that I was recording, because now I got distracted by this change that I had to make. Like, what in the world? Got distracted. Like, I proper got distracted. Oh yeah, I was telling you the story of this guy at MTN. Sorry, I was literally listening to the last video that I did, this small little clip. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, look, I'm gonna keep myself here front and center so that I don't lose anything. We'll see. Oh goodness, like why? What can I do to like lock in? Like I should be able to just lock in instead of like getting mad as an issue. Like what in the world? Am I really gonna be going through this like throughout the video? Is this what we're doing? Well, let me just make the glare crazy ridiculous that way, then in that way. Nothing of lighting is gonna fall off no matter what I do, no matter how ahead I come, no matter how ahead I go. Even if the glare in the background is tacky, the color is nasty, I'll just color correct like proper. I'll just color correct later. Like, it's just not worth it to be fighting with lighting so much. And there we go, it went dark again, despite me just like crazy lighting it up again. Let me just not move. Let me not gesture. Let me just keep myself in one frame. And not move. Like proper. Get up this statue and gotta get a kiddies game. I can't say it. Oh, why is this my life? Why can't it be just like this for hey? Why? Anyway, whatever, look, let's just carry on talking. Let's try and maintain, like, even when I hold like crazy still, like, I don't know who I keep saying. I keep saying. Anyway, whatever, where was I? Yes, this crazy dude that I was working with go empty and went and said this nasty thing in an email. Like, I proper don't even know what I get saying. Yeah, this crazy ridiculous man said on an email what he said. And then my boss called me so that I don't basically tell him where to get straight off the bat. And I took her counsel. I could not take it. I could not just insubordinate my boss and essentially just satiate my anger and tell this guy where to get off or reply to and us have a little exchange on email. But what I'm trying to get at is that my boss had experienced that guy's crazy, uncouth behavior years prior. Here it is that I was experiencing it. I would imagine there were many other women in the middle that had endured that crazy at his hand. And yet he was able to continue to roll around like a donut inside some chocolate in the company for all of those years. Unfettered, unscathed, unmoved, able to do the most in that particular regard. Precisely because nobody ever called him to book concerning it. And he only grew grander fever. It only grew fur with time. That nasty demeanor of his. With time, his spectacular misogyny only grew fur. It only grew fur. As like, Papa, I can maybe if I switch the light off, it might make life easier. What do you think? Is it gonna change or alter? But it just makes my thingy so dull. Like, no, we're not running with it. We are not running with it. We are not content with there being no light in the background. Now, like, there's just gonna be these distractions in the middle, and it's just gonna be a thing that's gonna be so crazy annoying. Yeah, anyway, that guy, maybe I should just look at this camera, because now the other camera is just so distracting to me that I can't help but just out of focus on poor lighting. So let me just look at the animation, which is unfettered at this particular juncture from color issues, light issues. That if the light should dim and go off on this side, I'll just like, I won't catch it. Alright, like, moving on. Guys, because now I want this to be a thing, because it's going to minimize how much time I spend on my edits. That's why I want to record on 2 phones, but now my iPhone takes the battery dies in like 2 seconds. Oh, come on! The battery dies in 2 seconds, and as in, it's okay, like, just let it go. I don't know what to do, but I literally have no clue. There was a way to lock lighting on a screen, and like, historically, I need to find that setting. Like, I just do. Setting. I know it exists. Like, I know it exists. I'm sorry. You see now? I'm busy. Keep busy. Imama bone lighter. Reba baby fela. Keep busy mabone. When I'm supposed to be twerking. I'm gonna see me enough for any of this. Now I'm at the like brightest setting. I feel like just to eradicate all that stuff that happens when this phone goes dark. Ain't nobody got time for this. Setting. I get to go I don't know. Maybe it's in a display and brightness. I don't know. Just to stay. Especially in these Android devices, like proper. No, don't get it. Oh, see now. It's just a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Comprehensive waste of time. Look, I don't know what to do, so I'm just not gonna try and concentrate on whatever happens next. We're gonna let this thing go on and off and do what it wants to do with lighting until we're done. Yeah, I seriously can't even tell you what in the world needs to be done over here to eradicate the issue. The issue is not being eradicated, and we are not gonna fight it. Bring something dark. Yeah, it might help. This pillow might help to help, you know, the contrast, like just actually massacre it, punching it with an uppercut. How's that? What? Okay, cool beans and bananas. Yeah, no, this guy was basically dilly-dallying all of those years in the company with all of that crazy behavior of his, precisely because nobody called it out. What I'm trying to get at with that story that I've been trying to explain over multiple little clips because of my lighting issues. Alright, I think the black helped. It did. Or the dark pillow. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, all of those like crazy experiences of my person. Let me see if I can't find yet another fluff ball to actually bring more grays into the room. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, that whole situation, that guy, that crazy guy that never over years essentially changed his behavior against women. The reason why he was maintained in that crazy, and the reason why he only grew fur on that crazy, was because nobody called him out for it. Nobody disciplined, nobody rebuked it. I bet you know where I'm going with this. Let me tell you where I'm going just in case you're unaware. Yeah, your president, your Cyril Ramaphosa, your ANC, the leadership of this crazy country are like that crazy misogynistic, chauvinistic lompot finally on a stove out here causing oil to jump up and down on the spot because I'm frying pan, and the people in his life are that oil. Jump, say how high, that's him. Because underneath mafura, he makes people jump. Yeah. When a person is made to get away with clear murder, like obvious murder, like it's in your face that this person is wrong, they don't change. They don't see it fit to do anything different. There's no improvement that they imagine they are in dire need of, because to them, if it ain't broken, don't try to fix it. It is the very stuff that brews and stews arrogance. And so the person in the eventual time becomes insufferable. In the long run, the people like those, the individual in question that everybody's just tolerating the nonsense of, they become insufferable. And the ANC has become insufferable. Leadership in this country has become insufferable, especially black leadership. It's become insufferable because it's like that chauvinist. It's like that crazy dude. It's become insufferable to deal all that manner of nasty disregard of what the Lord would have a person do. Comprehensive disregard of what the company will have a person do, depending on where it is that their influence is being expanded. When they have no regard for fellow people, and when they've got a megalomaniacal right next to delusion of grandeur, and when they're self-aggrandized, nothing is going to change it. And there is a delusion of grandeur dwelling in lots of black leadership in this country. It's only ever getting more and more feverish. Black leadership in South Africa is insatiably communistic, it's socialistic. It's like every black leader that rises up from the woodworks wants to destroy white people, unless of course they belong to the Democratic Alliance or whatever. Julius Malema is problematic, and I can't say that enough. The ANC is problematic, I can't say that enough. Like, there's just a whole bunch of crazy things that are happening in a nation that does not only have black for a race. We are not a uni-demographic country, so why under heaven are we even accommodating or tolerating any part at all that has it in for any individual racial group in the nation? Stuff like that ought not be tolerable in any country, and yet in Africa it just runs free reign because black people are left to get away with so much murder because apparently they can't be racist. And when they are blurting racist sentiment, it's apparently allegedly a reaction to the pain that they endured in the past. Like one of those hurt people principles, right? It's a concept of hurt people. I was broken yesterday, so I'm going to go and break everybody else tomorrow. I mean, that's not how we ought to operate, and yet that's how it is that we are apparently presently operating. There is no sustainability in any ecosystem of that nature. In the long run, it's going to result in a riotous eventuality. There's going to be war. Do you understand? People are going to fight. Nobody is going to take lying down all that level of disrespect against their person, their humanity, and that which they want to do. No one. In the same way that black people and basically non-whites fought against indiscretions against their person and all that disrespect of their persons in the days of apartheid, you cannot expect white people to just sit back and do nothing about all this disrespect against them in the country. You literally cannot. And South Africa is becoming increasingly racist in a way that is very, very insufferable. It's like we conquer one systematic oppression and now another one is coming on board. And I spoke about that the other day. How sustainable. And I just want to get out. Communism. Help me explain to you. Think about communistic countries. Alright? Russia is one, and so too is China, and we are affiliated with them as South Africa. You know, BRICS and everything. Yeah, that's what's good. Well, these countries do everything in their power. Let's just put it out there. When you are running a communistic nation, you do everything in your might to eradicate an invisible god. Communistic countries believe in the power of man. They believe in man's unity to distribute resources fairly among man, essentially taking from the rich like Robin Hood and giving to the poor. They believe in the redistribution of wealth and all that jazz, and they believe that nobody's coming for us, just us. And so it is our responsibility to take care of us as human beings. We gotta have our own back, and unfortunately, because human beings are inherently kind of selfish, gnarly with their rapacity, their greed, we have got to legislate, essentially, as with an iron fist, adherence or obedience to distribution of wealth equally among citizens, to flattening the line of wealth, to making sure that everybody is fit, everybody is good. Some might say there's nothing wrong with that, and just as with any political ideology, they tend to all not look bad on the surface until you see the inefficiencies of such structures in the eventual run. First and foremost, let's speak about sin, alright? We are born dead in it. In sin did our parents conceive us. We can do nothing good, not even one of us, and all of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Because we are sinful, even though the Lord implored us as at the judgment on Adam to go out there and work by the sweat of our brow. Herein lies the deal. There are people who, if at all, they can get away with lazing around, bumming around, merely existing. Yeah, they will, and still get fat. Why do you think such a show even exists online, on TV, like My 600-Pound Life? There are people who get fed and they get fat without having a single day's work contributed to the ecosystem. There are people that are what we call free riders, freeloaders. They just leech of everybody else. They rely on the generosity of everybody else, the altruism of everybody else. Communism is healthy, I suppose, in a country that's got hardworking men and hardworking women that all are basically putting their own little 2 cents worth into the coffers that everybody might eat, so that when these hardworking men get tired and rickety with arthritic bones in the end of their lives, and as geriatrics unable therefore to run anymore, the youth will then subsidize them like an insurance policy. Any actuary would be like, oh, what a perfect insurance model, I would love to underwrite that. But that is a world that is in a vacuum, and given that we're not living in a vacuum, and that things are rarely ever equal, bottom line is there will always be inefficiencies in South Africa. Marxism or communism is okay in a utopian world where everybody is pulling their weight. If everybody wakes up in the morning and does the time, communism is perfect because it then will cater to the needs of the sick when they get sick. It'll cater to the needs of the disabled, the people with disabilities when they get disability. It'll cater to the needs of the tired when they get tired. It'll still put food in the stomach of those that are on a leave of absence, because everybody deserves a break in a minute, but they know that at some point they're gonna lift their feet up. It pays the fees of every student that will come and study next year, because the ones who graduated whose fees were paid for last year are now working and are therefore now paying for the fees of the other university students that are on the come. It's perfect in a utopian world, but you see, we are not in a utopia, are we? Because of the fact that we are fallen, we are mankind, we are sinful, we are dead in trespasses and sins, our most righteous works are like filthy rags. Even the best among us are frankly worthless. And I mean, that's not to be misanthropic as a person, it is to be realistic. We are born depraved. That's how we are as human beings. Our hearts are deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. That's what's good. So because we are full of pleasure seeking and we are full of strive minimization, we have this thing about, if I can get the most out of my money with the least effort, then I'm good. So you know how people even innovated work smarter, not harder. Whereas that's unbiblical entirely. God says, whatever you do, work heartily as unto the Lord. So God has a thing about hard work, because he even said to Adam that because of how you sinned, you're going to work by the sweat of your brow. Hard work is a prescription, not a recommendation from God. That's what's good. Whereas mankind is actually telling people to work smart and not hard. Is problematic in the sense that sometimes intelligence for people is regarded as the prospering, the success that any single man or woman on the street can have at essentially making somebody else do their dirty work for them. You are apparently smart when you make someone else do your homework. You are apparently smart when you dupe your lecturer into giving you an A on your paper despite not having earned it, because you slept with them. You are apparently smart when you bribe the licensing department driver guy or driver lady to give you a driver's license without actually learning how to drive. You are smart when you pay a bribe to the police officer that out here could arrest you for drunken driving. You know, intelligence is essentially accrued by sinful man as getting away with murder sometimes. It's not necessarily using your mind to make systems more efficacious or efficient on the earth. Sometimes it is to dupe the system, to trick the system, to essentially conquer it. Whereas everybody else had to do the time, you did none of it. So to work smart is not always beneficial for an ecosystem, because it tends to rob from some people that which they are in dire need of, right? Yeah, that's what's good. And it's very, very unfortunate. So because mankind are like Brad Pitt and George Clooney and Turlo in Oceans 11, 12, and 13, they're smooth criminals that out here will impress you when they're stealing. That's why socialism or communism is problematic, okay? Because you then will be dealing with people who can drain the system. I was reading today, Cyril Ramaphosa trying to impress South Africans. I didn't read it actually. You see now this lighting is not coming back to me. I didn't read it. I only saw the caption, the title, the catchphrase, and I was like, oh, whatever. I noticed, what do they call this thing? That they have increased the amount that is going to be paid out in SASSA grants. Of course, Cyril Ramaphosa is going to... after South Africans actually lament against Donald Trump, even though the South Africans are again, Trump lamented against South African abuse, and yet South Africans are lamenting against Donald Trump and calling him arrogant. Listen, Cyril Ramaphosa will then reward a country that is disagreeing that they need a change. He's going to reward them with socialism. He's going to make like Pablo Escobar and go to the slums, the comunas of Colombia, and award a whole bunch of poor Colombians that he is effectively... Pablo Escobar will go into the slums of Colombia and award a whole bunch of Colombians in the slums of Colombia and the comunas, yeah, wads of cash, right? That thing, yeah, to basically love it. They call them the Robin Hood of Colombia, like just this like Prince of Peace of Colombia, when he ultimately turned out to be the be-all and end-all, the baddest terrorist of even the comunas with his drug syndicate out here doing its thing with the Sinaloa cartel or the Medellin cartel. I stand corrected as to which one of those two Pablo Escobar is a part of. I think he was at enmity with the Sinaloa cartel or the Medellin. I stand corrected, okay? That cartel of his and those drug wars and the fight with the Colombian government, the American DEA, caused so much strife and sorrow and death and heartbreak in the communists, where at some point he was their Robin Hood, that it became evident that to try and pay people money just to shut them up, to forget that you are a terrorist, is ultimately going to come back and bite them in the behind. And ANC is like a terroristic Pablo Escobaric regime. That's what you need to understand. It's a mono. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, here it is that Cyril Ramaphosa, as today as I was reading on some like news article from Share It, has raised SASSA grants. Maybe they raised them, maybe I don't know. But a welfare system, while I'm all for some kind of a welfare system in every country, because there are people who literally cannot do anything for themselves, and we can't live them out on a limb. Okay? Yeah, we can't live them out on a limb. What I am against is paying the way of perfectly strong men and perfectly strong women who could, if they really just put their minds and their pens to get something done in these streets. I'm all for helping pensioners along, but I'm also all for empowering people to make sure that they have saved up for their own pension once they get there. And this black economic empowerment, right next to black sabotage, has ascertained that black people get old and retire without being able to pay for their own way. And so for those reasons, they now have to rely on SASSA grants and whatnot. When they get to a certain age, they have to rely on a state stipend because they were not able to work. When those inefficiencies that took away from them the ability to work were created by a rapacious government that withheld from them opportunity to indeed be financially independent at retirement. So that's why socialism is just problematic. Socialism is problematic because it hurts those that are hardworking, those who work by the sweat of their brow, who put in the time, who wear the dungarees, who sweat. It hurts them because it makes them subsidize sometimes not only those who really can't do anything for themselves, like the elderly that still need to eat and they still need a bed, like the disabled who, albeit really strongly desiring to work, they can't anymore, like the special needs people, you get my point, like the temporarily unemployed youth that is struggling to find a job, but they are actually trying to get something done. I'm all for helping these people while they try to get their lives back together again. For those who can't get their lives back together again, or those who are permanently unable to do anything for themselves, indeed they ought to be enabled along. We should not be leaving people in poverty. But just the fact that there are so many hobos in this country, just the fact that there is so much disenfranchisement in this, just the fact that anybody at all can be begging for money on the street, evidences that even in a socialistic country, or one that's gunning for socialism, there are inefficiencies, because why are there any hobos at all in a socialistic country? They shouldn't be. But I'm all for removing hobos off the street, but they must be empowered. You see, there's a problem with black people in this country, and I keep on lamenting against it. They are shooting each other in the foot, in the back. They are ascertaining that they don't get strong, or if they are willing to let them be some kind of okay, they feel as if they're in a position to dictate how okay they can be. Listen to me speak, listen to me work. I'm hardworking, I should be making quite a pretty penny. But there are people in my country, black folk in particular, that have determined, there are black people in this country that have determined that even if I were to work, there's only so much I can, even if I were to study, there's only so much I can learn. Even if I were to rise, there's only so far that I can rise. I have been dictated as to how far I can go with my God-given gifts and talents. How much I want to do has been restricted by black rapacity, black entitlement, black selfishness, black competitiveness, covetousness, a feeling of you can't be better than me. Just this thing of I don't want you to do well, because I don't want to have to feel some kind of way about how well you're doing. And with black people doing that to each other on the ground, they're keeping money out of black pockets. They're keeping power out of the black man's wealth. That's, they're ascertaining that they are restricted in terms of what they can use in their suite of talents, because they are literally being told, Aisuga, your singing is not going to take you anywhere. Your talking heads videos on YouTube are not going to get you anywhere. Your skating is not going to get you anywhere. Your number crunching, basically they want to tell you what you can do. I have had crazy people come here with all of their witchcraft to literally tell me, you're going to scan groceries at the Pick and Pay. You're going to go and wait tables at the Wimpy. And when I'm like, no, I don't want to do that because I'm really smart, and I would rather do ABC. They're like, no, because that's going to make me envy you, and I'm not trying to have any of that. So that's why socialism is problematic, because of the fact that there are people trying to pay the way of people that can't pay their own way in a country full of people that are trying to make sure that even that money that goes inside the big fat chunky contributory bucket to enable those who can't do anything for themselves is limited to what it is that every greedy, selfish, crazy person on the periphery just so happens to agree their fellow man can do. So if I could have contributed to the socialistic bucket 10 million, they're saying, Karabo, you're gonna only contribute 10 rands. because I'm envious of you potentially contributing 10 million. So I then am not even able to then basically pay the way of the guy in the wheelchair. I can't pay the way of the student that is on financial aid at varsity. I cannot pay the way of the pensioner. I cannot pay the way of the seasonally unemployed, and not at the height that I desire to pay them, because I can't contribute to my country's bucket of socialistic funds, seeing as we are all about wealth distribution. I cannot contribute to my country's overall wealth, at least not at the height I want to, only to a certain extent. Only to a certain extent. Am I told by greedy, rapacious, covetous, and competitive men and women on the left and on the right of me, only based on how much I can make, am I then basically given permission to participate in the socialistic economy? What in the world? What the heck? It doesn't make sense. So in a country so full of selfish men and women, Banzaba lawyer everybody all over the show, making sure that they can't do anything for themselves. Socialism, that's not going to work. This little Julius Malema idea is not going to work. This little increasing of SASSA grants is not going to work. Nothing of it is going to work. Like I said, socialism can only function swimmingly in some kind of a vacuum that is just beautifully adorned with utopian stimuli. Apart from that utopia, it will crash and burn, especially when you live in a country like South Africa, where everyone is bewitching everyone to be poor, to be nowhere, therefore making sure that we don't even have enough money to subsidize those who can't do anything for themselves. A defeatist. And it's going to result in civil war. The very people that are out here collecting these SASSA grants from Cyril Ramaphosa's government, some of them wanted to work, but couldn't because Abu Budbabo stole their stars. Their brothers and sisters are just stole their fortunes by twirling ink and until a man went from the age of 25 to 50. Very peace job. Peace job, peace job. Peace job, peace job. Chilling outside Builder's Warehouse holding up a sign saying Tyler, even though he's got an engineering degree. This man did that all the way up until the age of 66, 65, 63, 60, whatever is the age that you qualify for the pensioner's grant. And because when you are working that kind of hand-to-mouth job, you don't have a retirement annuity. Why would you? Because when you work in that kind of job, you have not saved up anything. You don't probably have even a house that you've paid off by your own bond. You were working from hand to mouth. Peace job, peace job. And now that your hands are arthritic, now that you're old and you can't tile anymore, that's when you then put down the sign at Builder's Warehouse and queue at the government offices every month for them to give you a stipend of how much every single month. Who made sure that man goes from the age of 25, a young, vigorous, healthy man, to 6, unable to amass for himself retirement earnings? On the left and on the right. That's what's happening in South Africa. You're crazy. That's that. Only to a certain extent. That's all that this is gonna achieve. Do you understand? I was forcibly retired at the age of 30. I was 29 going on 30 that year. And it's now 10 years later, 2025. Going on 11 years. 2024 was an exact round 10 years. This year is going to be 11 years of unemployment. I was a young professional in corporate South Africa who had in my job both a pension and a provident fund. As at the age of 31, I intended to take out a retirement annuity with likely Liberty Life, so as to add over and above my cost to company paying pension and provident fund. I wanted to supplement my retirement with investments, with either RAs, retirement annuities that I would take out with Old Mutual or Liberty Life or whatever, right next to just some other investments, to make sure that my income is supplemented. After all, I did study wealth management, and so I was not about to let myself go that way. I was not about to get to the age of 65, 66, being forced in the country to retire and not have enough money and need to work just to maintain my life at that age. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what's good. I had those plans, and I was going to start at the age of 31 to invest in my retirement. I would have started earlier, but I was busy fixing some things in my life. But then before I could even commence that journey, I lost everything. I lost my career, everything. So people having kept me out of employment for a whole decade and counting, you've now wasted 10 years of premiums into an RA, 10 years of premiums into an investment portfolio of sorts with an insurance company. You have wasted 10 years of business building potential that I might not even need the RA because I would become a millionaire or whatever thanks to businesses. You've wasted 10 years of contributing to a pension or a provident or both fund in the company where I work for as a permanent employee. You've wasted 10 years of that, and now I am 40. I am 40 years old, 40 of which is 20 meager years away from, let's say 25 meager years away from the age of forced retirement in this country. So now I've been literally short-circuited from contributing by 10 years, and so far counting, because it's highly unlikely that I'm going to get a job tomorrow, to contribute to pension. A woman that at some point was completely able to have her own back, take care of herself in retirement, and so not be a burden to the state. You disenfranchised her, ripped her out of a career, and made sure that you made sure that she is now facing the prospect of being grateful that Cyril Ramaphosa increased a SASSA grant or a pensioner's grant. You have made sure that a woman that would have not needed government aid, government assistance, may potentially need it in 25 years. That's what you've done to me. You have grabbed a perfectly viable economic citizen of South Africa and say to her, or of her, honeybee, sister girl, sugar baby, you're gonna have to be one of those people queuing outside of some stupid government office to collect a stipend of 2,000 rand, 2,500 rands every month, just to make sure that you can at least get bread, because you are no longer gonna have any strength at all to do anything. South Africans, you did that. So Jagahayo Cyril Ramaphosa, right? Out here priding himself after you lament against Donald Trump on Twitter and you trend him priding himself in all of your concerted support of him, in spite of all that money that he has that is in excess of anything that you could ever have, in the couch go pala farm that he got away with, never got impeached, nobody inquired beyond it further proper. It's like he was pardoned. He was like Joe Biden with a laptop, not Hunter Biden with a laptop in America. Nobody Aja be taking this thing to court, finishing it off because I'm a sitting president and so he gets away with murder. That's what's good. Whole bunch of corruption going on in your government and you are watching it sitting down. And that man with all that money in the couch, you are now celebrating him, literally giving him a round of applause for increasing how much you get every month on a SASSA grant, whatever it might be for. That's what's good. Yeah. While disregarding the fact that South Africans are deliberately disempowering fellow South Africans with this level of sabotage. Y'all know how my life ended, right? Y'all know how my career ended. Y'all know that I was sabotaged completely innocent. And 10 years down the line, I still have no employment. I am still en route collecting a SASSA grant when I would have been among the contributors to this communistic country of those that don't have any pension money. I would have been a taxpayer that is paying for those grants. But now I am going to be a recipient. So how is this communism going to work exactly when the nation does not have any interest in empowering itself? How? Nah, please, somebody explain. I need somebody to give me an explanation right now because there is none that I can find. You've made a prospect for welfare in this country when I was supposed to be independent in my own person. Yes. You made sure. But you see, men and women who run these socialistic regimes need to make you forget that they're actually ruining your life by increasing little grants. Because the sad and disquieting thing about South Africa is that it's a poor country and most of its people are living below the breadline. And so most of its people really need those SASSA grants. And so therefore when the SASSA grant is being increased in how much it is that is being given every month, it awards favor to politicians that are keeping people poor. Because when you are Pablo Escobar in the Comuna of Colombia, giving poverty-stricken Colombians with no jobs wads of cash, you are making them feel as if though you're their big daddy, aren't you? You are keeping poor people poor, and then afterwards you rock up and give them $100. They will, of course, next year vote for you, because who else is gonna give me $100? The year thereafter, they're gonna vote for you because who else is gonna give me $100? 10 years later, they're gonna vote for you because who else is gonna give me $300? Because there's been an increase. 20 years later, they're gonna keep voting for you because who else is gonna give me $500? Because, like I said, there's been an increase. Only this guy, without waking up to realize that because of this man, I wasn't able to make my own money. Many of the people in South Africa, it's not that they're not hardworking, it's not that they don't want to push their weight. It's that they're being sabotaged to work such lowly jobs that they cannot make enough money. When you withhold opportunity from your fellow man to become as strong as they could potentially become, you make sure that your country can never become as wealthy as it could potentially become. There aren't enough educated people in the country because people don't want to study. There aren't enough educated people in the country because people are keeping them from the insides of higher learning institutions, or they're being made to disregard degrees. Entire BCom graduates from university out here. Cars. What is this? Navigating cars out of parking bays. Teachers navigating cars out of parking bays. That's what's happening in South Africa. So what is the point of me spending 30,000 rands per annum on an engineering degree if I'm going to navigate cars out of a parking bay? Because at the end of the day, I gotta eat bread. At the end of the day, that level of sabotage on the ground is doing that to people. And so, if I did not have a family, my mom, that essentially has kept me living some kind of a middle-class lifestyle, albeit being crazy poor, I kid you not, albeit being as intelligent, as gifted as I am, I would be waiting tables at the Wimpy. I would be pushing paper, go builder's warehouse. Okay. A whole intellectual would have been waiting tables. And me refusing to do that menial work is not the tantamount of me not wanting to work by the sweat of my brow. It is me realizing what I can do and therefore how much I can contribute to my country. And me saying to my countrymen, you're the reason why I cannot make money in where it is that I want to make money. Because you, with your covetousness, your competitiveness, and your rapacity, refuse that there should be more than 5 people in the room that are out here breaking the R1 million mark per annum. You refuse that anybody should earn a healthy salary other than just 10 people in the room. That's the black community. Lahan. You want to be the only ones in your families doing well. You want to be the only ones among your group of friends that are thriving. You want to be. And so because you are insistent on it, your little socialistic regime is going to keep the country with a violently skewed income distribution curve that politicians like Julius Malema will keep on saying, see this curve. This is what we need to fix. And then your crazy president out just saying, this is why we must take away the land of white people. They're going to look at the wealth where it is that it is concentrated, and they're going to insist on ripping it from people who have worked for it in order to give it to everybody that is having a hard time rising, without looking inside, without looking in the mirror as black people in this country and realize that you have kept black people poor, and now you want to go and grab everybody's land. You have kept black people poor, black people, and now you have made black people be like mina ngikhathele ukusebenza kanzima kanjena every day. Ka 5 and I come back home at 7 at night, exhausted out of my mind, holding in my hand 350 rands. I mean, do you know that a contractor in project management last time when I was employed would lament for being underpaid if they were offered 350 rand an hour to fulfill the duties on a particular project? As at the time when I was employed, and that was 10-11 years ago, intermediate project managers could quote 700 to 750 bucks an hour on a contract in order for them to basically fulfill their duties in that particular regard. Intermediate. The senior guys, I don't even have to tell you, Jack. They are to be quoting ridiculous tariffs like 1,500 rands an hour. So if an intermediate consultant could charge at a minimum 650 to 900 rands per hour to fulfill their duties, how do you think a person that works, and again, you're a project manager, right? So you spend a good 10 minutes in the canteen, 15, maybe 20, maybe an hour, walking up and down the building just to talk to some people. You write up meetings, you collate data, you get people in a room, you chair a meeting, you make them do stuff, you coordinate a project, and then call yourself a program or a project manager. You are largely leisurely. Half the time you are twirling on a chair on a phone as you are speaking to people to do stuff that needs to be done, and then you quote the 750 rands an hour. And then a person comes back home with 350 rands a day that took a lunch for 15 to 20 minutes, and the whole time they were knocking wood, the whole time they were knocking tiles, the whole time they were sigadi tiles, the whole time they were in the blazing sun. Like the other day I made a joke speaking about where have you ever seen a yellow bone construction worker? You don't see them because they're always in the sun, just like Adam, working by the sweat of their brow. They put in so much time and so much hard labor, do you understand, for crazy pennies. Domestic workers out here ironing shirts and crazy little pillowcases for 5 hours, and they go home got 300 rand. Whereas when at 300 rand, you lament when you don't get it in an hour, the hour of which you actually spent on lunch, because it was a luncheon meet. It was a lunch meet. You were out here eating a salad when you were talking about this project. That is what it is. That is the leisure of some of the jobs that you have. And you are trying to get people like Karabo who are able to do those kinds of consulting jobs. And so therefore also quote you a good cool 1,200 rands per hour for what I have to offer. Yeah, that's what's good. You want me to go in Yolanda after working a full day at Wimpy, waiting tables. Kilolata, 500 rand, and a little day, it is from largely tips, and the 150 bucks is what I got for the day. When I've got the kinds of skills that should amass for me, like I said, a good cool 1,200 rands an hour for my services, and that was at 2014. It's 2025, so I would imagine the tariffs have spiked significantly for consulting fees. Now, people want to regard me as a junior, whatever. Some silly cousin wanted to make me her administrator, like weird stuff. And I keep on saying, listen, I'm skilled, I'm very intelligent, I'm gifted, I can flip a model, I can change a business, I can cause a man to out here go from, meager breaking even to out here profitably just coining it with like bumper profits per annum, because I am a skilled management consultant in the worst way. Yeah, and people are out here insisting that no, I will either go wait tables or order me digestive biscuits as an administrator and make sure that my parking bay is maintained every single year in that particular spot. People are trying to make me that. And when I say akidi gay me, they call me lazy. And I'm like, lazy, about my content on social media, listen to me speak, gaze at my talking head videos, look at the amount of time that I put in to do my edits. I don't twiddle my fingers all day long. I'm always editing. I'm always working. If I'm not recording, I'm editing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. That is the nature of umsebenzi owenzayo, but I have not been able to monetize it, right? I haven't been able to liquidate it, and that is apparently what it is that makes me lazy. Okay, that's what makes me lazy. Except just like those people out there chilling outside of the builder's warehouse about to tile all day for just a meager 1,200 rands per day. Yeah, just like those tilers, Bako Builder's Warehouse, I am putting in a whole bunch of time for negligible pay. Whole bunch of time for literally nothing in my pocket. Do you understand what I'm saying? And people are trying to keep that as a going concern and then claim that, I guess, you can't have it all at the end of your life when you're being subsidized by the government on your pension. Not everybody could be Oppenheimer. Not everybody could be Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. Not everybody could be Elon Musk. Not everybody could be a tech pioneer. Not everybody could be an entrepreneur that's out there killing. You win some, you lose some, get life. But at least at least you're not emaciated, at least you're not anorexic. At least, Karabo, you've got this, that, and the other. When I started recording here, I spoke about how it is that, please, don't come patronize me. I could was some random dude that insists on paying my way. Because while I am all happy to be a housewife, and while I am all happy to be a stay-at-home mom, like all that stuff that comes with taking care of the matters of your own household, I am not happy to be that for a man that insists that I be that. A man that refuses that I should use my skills and my talents. A man that is so misogynistic that he wants to take care of my every need. Because that is his way of basically loading it over me with an iron fist. That if I have any kind of financial strength and power, he would feel like he is at a loss of power above me. I can't be that man. The issue here is not so much in me not wanting, feministically, just not wanting to be a housewife. The issue is in not wanting to be the housewife, stay-at-home mom bride of a man that insists that be a thing. It has to be my choice. I was happy to do it once upon a time, to literally leave my whole career just to be a mom and a wife. But now, I am so scared because I have got a whole bunch of socialistic mindseted men who want me to be a bum, sit around and ignore my gifts and my talents in order that they might pay my way, subsidize everything of my person, essentially like a little Julius Malema for a husband. I couldn't. Because even in my previous willingness to be a stay-at-home mom, it was always within the context of, albeit being out of corporate South Africa and taking care of the affairs of my household, I am still doing something for myself on the side. There will always be some kind of a side hustle, like something that however only requires 2 hours of my day, 3 hours of my day. Like, I was never gonna stop writing. I was never gonna stop creating, innovating, like knitting, like cute little things, like just my creativity. I was always going to try and monetize it. I wanted a pastry channel, for instance, where I was going to bake like all these wonderful treats that I would be cooking at home and also baking for my husband and children. I wanted to convert that into a channel on YouTube to basically show people how to make little trinkets, little cute things, little cookies. Yeah, that was what I wanted to do. So I was never ever going to be a woman that makes nothing at all, not even a single cent for herself. I was just going to be largely at home, always able to attend children's matches at school and all that jazz. But when it comes to making an income every single month, there would be something visibly there for me to make. I was never ever going to completely rely on a man, because I was never ever going to let myself ignore my gifts and my talents in the sight of God, because that's problematic. So there was always going to be a way of me making money, albeit not being from a typical way of making money. But the kinds of men that want me right now, they don't even want me taking care of my side. Like, they just want to pay my way. That's a dangerous man. It's a dangerous man. It's a socialistic structure that is forcing me to be a pensioner on a government stipend, but instead of it being the government, it's a husband. And apparently if I don't go out like that, I'm also kind of like dangerously screwed. I'm like, yazini guys, breathe your last. At this particular juncture, well, gaze upon the story in 2025 now. Men in South Africa have become, in Africa, but I will speak for South Africa right now, they've become this dangerous conglomerate of polygamistic and misogynistic miscreants that are disempowering women so they can be their like sack of potatoes or whatever. They are disempowering women so that women can meet. And in a country like that, where there's not only an issue of disempowering black people at all, because we are also competitive and people are so busy bewitching each other that they can't let people be okay. There's that as a concerted issue against the black community at large. We are defeatist against each other. We are shooting ourselves in the foot. Then over and above it being a whole demographic problem, there's now a gender issue within the demographic. In that, there is a GBV problem, where it is that men want to keep women poor. So black people in total are being kept poor, and black women are being insisted upon by some kind of strange narrative in the country as well to be poor, while black leadership is insisting on a communistic ideal. How is that not something that an international superpower must necessarily lament against? You are literally trying to take old white money because you have withheld making new black money for yourselves out of nothing but covetousness, envy, jealousy, all that jazz. And then you insist upon being Robin Hood, the government. Steal from the rich and give to the poor. Are you for real? I gotta leave, right? You need to understand I need to go. Like, as in, my bags, they're packed. I got skills, I got talents, I'm gifted. I should be quoting you a cool 3,000 rands an hour for anything I say. And yet, I'm making no money at all. There are people who insist that I go out here, scan groceries at the Pick and Pay. Listen. I'm going to be asking somebody to actually scan my groceries because I've bought them. That's how far all that scanning is going to go where I'm concerned yet. There are people that are of the imagination that I'm going to be behind the point of sales machine, out here going, do. This is your slip, ma'am. Do you want the plastic? Kunabantu abangexpect ukuthi mina ngiyobuza abantu ukuthi bafuna amaplastiki. It's never going to happen, alright? It's never going to happen. And that does not make me lazy. It makes me determined to do with my gifts and my talents what the Lord will have me do. I'm not lazy, I'm not gathering dust, I'm not sitting around out here not trying to contribute to the economy. I am being blocked. There are barriers to entry into the economy of South Africa that are making it impossible for me to do that which I deserve to do and want to do. You see, the issue with the socialistic regime is in that there are sometimes people who don't even have the gumption or the gung-ho, do you understand, to do anything.